I think there's some things that Steve did. His relentless focus on the customer, relentless focus on is something I think that is something that we all should aspire to. But at the same time, Steve was a showman, and a showman as we've not seen many before, and he knew better than anybody else that the show must go on. And so even though I think probably I would also like to spend half an hour talking about his contributions to the industry or to humanity or whatever you want to say, I think let's focus on cloud computing in this case. Yeah. So many of you are here because you're new to the Amazon world. Why is Amazon actually in this business? Yeah. And I love if this clicker works. Yes. So many of you may actually ask yourself, really? Okay. So many of you may ask yourself, why is Amazon actually in this business in the first place? Yeah. So there's a long history behind this. Yeah. So probably you all know Amazon as being the retailer. Hopefully you're all Amazon retail customers. But Amazon also for a very, very long time had this enterprise services platform. And on this enterprise services platform, some of the world's largest e-commerce operations next to Amazon ran on that platform. Yeah, so sites like Target, Marks & Spencer's, Mothercare, many other e-commerce sites ran on this platform. And the scale of this platform was immense, much, much larger than what Amazon.com itself actually required. And as you can imagine, the technologies that we needed to develop for this were unique. We have a long history within Amazon looking at the sort of technologies that we develop and whether by exposing them to the outside world, we can actually trigger other ways of innovation. So we've done that, for example, by opening up our fulfillment centers and allowing customers to put packages in our fulfillment centers and then use an API to actually send these packages. So you can make use of all our knowledge in inventory management and shipping and returns and things like that without having to do those things yourself. So somewhat 5, 6, 7 years ago, we started to realize that we developed unique technologies that we could expose to the outside world and help others innovate, help them build sophisticated, scalable applications that weren't possible anywhere else. And mainly because I think this is sort of the typical picture of dealing with IT. Now, many of you are in IT departments, yeah? But I think that, if you look at the charge of CIOs for the past 10 years, it has all been about cutting cost. Yeah, and cutting costs meant that you had to make very long-term deals with single software providers or single hardware providers, locking yourself in, reducing choice for your internal customers. And it wouldn't be surprised if in your organization, this is how IT is being seen. Yeah? IT is the blocker. And these days, that is actually becoming a much bigger problem. Yeah? Because most of the business units have to move much faster. Time to market is becoming crucial. The competition is intensifying. Yeah? The consumer choice is becoming, the consumer power is paramount these days. And as such, as an IT organization, you will need to become as agile as that your customers, your internal departments need to be as well. But in the old style with just reducing choice, having long-term contracts, locking yourself into single providers, that's not going to do the job. And so this is where we were going to deliver technologies, or where we are delivering technologies that actually will help you become more agile. Yeah, so one of the key points around this, around the Amazon Cloud and the Amazon Web Services is this no upfront expense. That means no capital required anymore. That means that you can actually choose any service that you want without having to upfront commit yourself to using them. That allows you to actually have a much broader set of services available for your customers. Yeah? Variable pricing is not just enough not to have to put the upfront cost down, not to have any capital expense, but you need to make sure that you only pay for that what you use. because that's actually really where your major cost savings are going to come from. Yeah, because in the end, if it would be just a matter of shifting CapEx to OpEx, that would be interesting from an accountability point of view, from an accounting point of view, but in the end, that doesn't help you drive your costs down. What's really important is that you only pay for what you use. And for that, elasticity and self-service is really important. The fact that you can automate, that you can use business rules or business metrics to actually scale up your environment or bring it down allows you to actually drive your costs down as well. But most of those things appear as if it's only cost related. Most of our customers, well actually most of the enterprises, when they start using the Amazon Web Services, will often say that they did that in the first place because of the cost picture, because cost is attractive. But most of them will actually claim pretty soon that it is actually the agility that keeps them working with the Amazon Web Services. Because you are no longer constrained. You no longer have to think about what is the lead time to get access to these resources. Yeah, so, and as the CIO of NASA had put on a big placard outside their office, yeah, we need to replace every procurement screen with a deployment screen. Yeah? Procurement needs to go. When you think about building new products, you need to have access to resources immediately. And as such, there's no back button on this one. Is there? Yeah, okay, good. Sorry. So, although many actually existing vendors, those that actually got you into this whole lock-in business, will tell you that, oh, you just use some virtualization and some automation and you can do this on-premise in the same way. If you look at those 6 advantages that we just talked about, almost none of them come back when you do this on-premise. Yeah, you still have to put in the capital, you still have to put in, you have no reduction of your operational cost. And actually, what we didn't talk about here at all is actually the amount of work, the amount of people that you need to actually keep this up and running. So the shift from being an IT as a blocker to IT as becoming the enabler is really important. I think this is a crucial shift for IT organizations. Yeah, because if you look at your business units, yeah, a common word that you hear these days is stealth cloud, yeah, where business units themselves go out and procure cloud services. That's actually not really how it should happen. No, you should actually, they should work with their IT departments to get the right services that they should need. Yeah? Validating security, validating performance, validating compliance. Yeah? And so we need to see the shift where IT departments are actually offering these services through them, helping their customers, helping the internal customers succeed. So hundreds of thousands of businesses now are running on the Amazon Web Services in 190 different countries. So let's look at a few of those. So Advanced Innovations is a global supply chain company. Yeah? And so actually if you look at their architecture diagram, it's something that you will find very familiar. Yeah? There's some bottom technology layers in there, there's some web services, business units, business processing, all these different components in there. The fact here is that they are all off-the-shelf components. Yeah? There is hardly any dedicated development in here. And for Advanced Innovation, it's really important that doing this on their own infrastructure, they couldn't grow fast enough. The amount of people that they needed to actually keep this up and running worldwide, because they're a worldwide supply chain company, was actually hampered them to innovate. So they run now 100% on AWS. Yeah? 100% Microsoft and Oracle all running on AWS. All standard enterprise architecture. And actually they took it a step further. They are running their US operations out of our US regions, and they're running their European operation out of the European region, and use the other region as backup. So they basically back up the European region into the US region. If for whatever reason Ireland would disappear off the map, yeah, they could still restart a European operation out of our US region. And they use for that just standard technologies, just Oracle data card to actually keep those two regions in sync. So some New York examples, New York Times in the, let's see, on the left graph is something 2009. It's how you actually map all their virtual machines over the different data centers that they have. The green one is Amazon EC2. By now, 2011, about 40% of their infrastructure runs on Amazon EC2. But more importantly is the next graph. Even though it's 40% of their infrastructure, it is only about 25% of their total cost. SAP themselves, not as a software provider, although we're fully certified to run SAP as well. SAP themselves are a major customer of the Amazon Web Services. This is sort of the internal usage of the Amazon Web Services at SAP. Yeah, there's a whole range of different technologies and different programs that they use this for. So, for example, this is one slide that they use for their customers to indicate, what the major cost differences are. If you look at the yellow steps, that's normal for deploying an ERP system. Yeah, the cost of that. But if you look at the green and the blue bars, those are the costs of running a full-scale SAP ERP system on the Amazon Web Services. Yeah, and the blue one is if you would run it 24/7, but if you're actually fortunate enough to be more, to be able to scale down some of your environment, and you go to 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, you can actually drive down your cost tremendously. Something which you would never be able to do if you would be doing this on your own hardware. NASDAQ, so the previous examples mainly looked at cost. Yeah, it looks as the reason why they're using it is for cost. NASDAQ picked AWS because they wanted to deliver an innovative product, but they had no idea whether it was going to be successful or not. And so, in what direction they would have to take the product to see whether it would become successful. This product is called Market Replay. It's something you can download for free from data.nasdaq.com, and it actually gives you access to historical NASDAQ data, historical market data, to do analysis on. By now, actually, so this app was launched, I think, 2 years ago for the first time, and they continuously evolved the application without having to worry about what kind of resources they needed to run the application. And late last year, the NASDAQ decided that all the data that they had collected and that was now available within the Amazon cloud, that they actually put an API on it. So any of you who are interested in building sort of historical market data applications or want to mash that up with other data, you can use the NASDAQ API on top of the AWS platform. So what are the building blocks actually that most of these people are using? So there is computing there. Most of them will know that as the Elastic Compute Cloud. There's storage, Amazon S3 and EBS. There's network, there's databases. There's a whole range of services today that you can make use of. It's not just only virtualization. There's a whole range of auxiliary services that allow you to build very sophisticated, highly scalable, and very reliable applications. All of these based on technologies that we developed for Amazon.com themselves. 5 regions around the world, 2 in the US, East Coast, West Coast, 1 in Europe, 2 in Asia Pacific, and it is our goal to continue to roll out new regions across the world. There's actually a 6th region that's in the US here. It's also on the West Coast, which is specific for the American government. Yeah, so it's called the Gov Cloud, which is ITAR compliant. It's where the government can do some of their more sensitive information processing. Each of those regions consists of multiple availability zones. An availability zone, the easiest way would be to think about it as a data center, but that's not really true. It are separate buildings. They sit on different flood zones. They are in different seismographic areas. They are connected to different power grids. They are connected to multiple tier 1 networks. So they are really separated from each other. And they're connected through a high-speed metropolitan area ring. You can use these availability zones to build highly available applications. This stuff comes for free. Yeah, it's not like you have to pay extra to start using other availability zones. No, it's not just one data center or one cloud. It is multiple regions around the world, such that you can be in compliance with whatever the requirements are of your customers and build highly available applications within those regions. So we use one of the metrics you use for growth at AWS is the number of objects stored in the Amazon Simple Storage Service. And so this is a graph that shows it at the fourth quarter of each year. And so more or less you can see that it is at least doubling, maybe a little bit more. But when we measured it in Q3 of this year, and remember, we still have a quarter to go this year, is actually we are already at 566 billion objects. That means that we have already doubled this year, and we still have a quarter to go. But more important than these absolute numbers is the trend that you see. And in my feeling, and it's, I don't really have a crystal ball, we haven't really seen the knee of the hockey stick yet. The true growth is really about to explode there. So what's the keys to this success? Why are so many companies using AWS? Why are so many enterprises using AWS for a variety of different applications? I think there's three main reasons for it. Yeah, so the flexibility you get, the fact that Amazon is continuously focusing on lowering cost, and the fact that we are continuously driving innovation. So let's look at each of these. What does that mean, flexibility? So remember that when I started, I talked about how most IT organizations really feel that they are locked into using one particular provider, one particular software provider, one particular data center provider. Yeah? For us, it was really important to make sure that our customers could choose any type of operating system, any type of middleware, that they would not feel themselves locked in, and more importantly, that they could walk away whenever they would want. Yeah? One of the things with this is that there are no upfront commitments. You can walk away anytime you want. That keeps us as providers on our toes to do the best every day, always. And that's how it should be. Yeah? Not because we have a very long-term contract with you, you should be using us. You should only be using us if we absolutely deliver the services in a way that you want them to have. So with that means different types of software. We have many different ISVs and partners that have all of their software running on our platform. You can manage AWS resources as well as resources on-premise using the same software. All of the SIs have programs around integrating AWS into your existing environment. And most importantly, all the major enterprise software vendors have certified their software for production on AWS. Yeah? If you want to run Oracle, all Oracle software is supported on AWS by Oracle. Yeah? The second key to success for AWS is continuously lowering costs. Now, this is a very curious thing to talk about, because most people will know technology companies are ones that actually try to trick you out paying more. Yeah? It's not uncommon for an AWS account manager to call his customers and talk about how can we drive your costs down even further. It is really important. It's one of the key principles of AWS to continuously lower cost. Yeah, and we do that by giving you different pricing models. On demand is obvious. We have a reserved instance model if you run 24/7. We give you spot instances where you can actually set a price that you're willing to pay for jobs that are not time critical. And we also give you dedicated instances. If there are, let's say, compliance regulations that require you to be the only one running on a piece of hardware. More importantly, we will continuously lower our pricing. If you as our customers help us create additional economies of scale, and remember, with hundreds of thousands of customers, that is going pretty rapidly at the moment. Yeah? If you help us create additional economies of scale, we immediately turn around and will give you the benefits of the better deals that we can negotiate with our providers. So since launch, so that's now five and a half years ago, we've lowered our pricing 14 times. Yeah, so one of the last times when we did this in July, we actually dropped all incoming bandwidth to 0. And for some of our larger bandwidth consumers, all outgoing bandwidth, their total bill actually reduced by something like 40%. And so the same is around, we continuously build new features that will help our customers drive costs down. For us, the Amazon Web Services is a high volume, low margin business. And given our roots, which we are having retail, we are very comfortable with running a low margin business. Yeah? And we know how to build technologies that can keep the cost of technologies down really to the minimum. And it's one of the reasons, I think, why Amazon is so successful, because our customers understand that we have their best interest at heart and help them reduce cost. I think the third key differentiator for AWS is the fact that we actually launch simple products, robust products, because yes, you can start building your business on it right away, but then very quickly, in combination with our customers, we drive the products into a direction where our customers want the products to go, not where our engineers decide you should go. Yeah, so if you look at the kind of things that we delivered in the past 5 years, that's a pretty impressive slide, I think. You know, some major services, great things, but this is just a summary slide. If you look at the slide from last year, yeah, you'll see that actually there's quite a bit of things that we do in a single year. The one thing that I can promise you, that if we would do this slide again next year for 2011, one slide will not be enough. Yeah, so we will continue to push over that dimension to deliver, you know, innovations on behalf of our customers. A quick run through, I think, what some of the enterprise features are that you, if you want to go to the Amazon booth later on and talk about. I think one important thing is the Amazon Virtual Private Cloud that allows you to cordon off a piece of the cloud and then connect that back to your own data center. Any resources you put in this particular corner of the cloud are all yours. They have your addressing to it. They can only communicate back to your own data center. And that was actually version 1 of Virtual Private Cloud. Earlier on this year, we delivered version number 2, which allows you to build very complex network scenarios in the cloud, deciding which resources can connect back to your own data center, which actually are able to communicate with the outside world, giving you very tight control over access and networking in the cloud. Yeah, so this is another picture of such an architecture. Yeah, so where you can connect back to your own data center and to the public cloud using public networks, private networks, network address relation blocks at a very low level. You control how nodes can access each other or how data flows through your architecture in the cloud. For example, this is just a schematic of how Autodesk is using 3 different data centers. Their main data center on the West Coast, connecting to 2 of their smaller colo locations somewhere else, and then using the Amazon VPC environment just to extend their data center. This makes their whole environment elastic. It can breathe in and breathe out. So other pieces that you should be aware of, Amazon Direct Connect, which allows you to access either West Coast or East Coast to have direct connections into the Amazon cloud using MPLS circuits. Identity Federation is something that we launched early this year. Of course, each and every one of you already has their own identity management environment, so we give you tools to put up brokers that actually connect the Amazon Identity and Access Control Management tools with those in your own data centers. We allow you to take VMs, so VMware images, and allow them to import them into the AWS. If you already have certified those for production in your own environment, you can take that image and load it into AWS. And yesterday, or the day before actually, we launched Amazon S3 server-side encryption, which is important for many of our customers that want to encrypt their data at rest. Security compliance, of course, is very important to many of our customers. Go to this site. There's 2 great documents there. One is about security that goes in depth of each of the services, tells you what all the security controls are. And the other is a document about compliance. And so there's 43 common questions in that document about compliance that are answered in depth. Yeah, so there's a whole range of different certifications. CES70 Type 2 using the COBIT set of controls, ISO 27001. There's a whole range of them, and a whole range also of where our customers have been able to get certification like HIPAA and like ITAR using our tools. One of the bigger users of the Amazon Cloud is the American federal government. And with respect to its security, I want to pull up this quote from them. This is something they put out when they launched recovery.gov on AWS, where they made absolutely clear that one of the reasons why they were moving to the cloud was because they had determined that security in the cloud was superior to what they could deliver themselves. Now, by now, there's more than 100 agencies that are using the AWS services, both in the public cloud side as well as in the GovCloud environment. So if you guys want to know more about these services, there's 2 sessions. Ginesh is a great educator. I really suggest that you go there. He can go in real depth, especially about migration strategies. How should you look at your existing applications? Which applications should you be able to move? How can you prioritize those? Which applications you should not be moving? Where it does not make sense? Where there is no return on investment? How do you make that determination? So, and of course, visit our booth. Often I get asked, what is sort of where do you think this is going to be 5 years from now? Yeah? And believe me, if 5 years ago you would have asked me if I could have predicted where we are now, that was not the case. Yeah? I would have missed it. 2 weeks ago, I was at Downing Street 10, talking to the UK government about, how they could actually be way more efficient by moving to the cloud. I would never have predicted that, 5 years ago. But what I can predict is that there is one thing that is going to change. Yeah? It is that you guys are going to be buying less and less hardware. Yeah? You are going to treat compute power, storage, networking as if it is electricity, as if it is available for everyone, and you only have to pay for what you use. That's the massive shift that's going to happen. And it's not that the hardware companies are going to become poor of this, because, believe me, we'll be buying the hardware. Yeah? And actually, probably because of this model, many more companies will grow much bigger. So in the end, I think everybody will be happy. Hardware companies, cloud providers, but especially you, because you will get the agility to build exactly those applications that you want and only pay for what you use without feeling that you're being held hostage by your software or by your service provider. With that, thank you for your attention. And if you guys ever want to contact me, this is another cloud service you can use. Thank you.
Thanks.